Hello and welcome to my first knitting related video, and this book is very fitting for my first video because it is the first book that I ever bought that's knitting, and I actually, barring individual patterns, and the fact that I just ordered a new book, which is teaching visually sock knitting. This is my only knitting book because I use a lot of library books and online patterns and whatnot. So, because of that, I've gotten to be a snob about buying books because there's so many individual patterns that you can get for free, or you can get them from the library when the library has the books. And Ravelry. So it's so easy to get patterns that when you find a book that everything about the book is so good that you just have to have it, then you know it's a really good book. So I would suggest this book as probably, even it says 400 stitches, and I saw one when I was looking around that was like 735 knitting stitches. This book, I don't know that I'll be doing many stitches past this book, beyond this book, because it just has everything. So, it's from Potter Craft, so it's not individually written by any person, particularly that I can see. And it divides it by types of stitches. So, plain basic knit purl stitches. First of all, it teaches you how, if you don't know how to knit. It's got a whole section on that. And then it starts with stitches like so. What made me love this book and fall in love when I had first started knitting, I've been knitting for almost 6 years now, which isn't long compared to others. But the thing I fell in love with this book is I could read the pattern. I could see the pattern up close, very clean, all of them are written in cream, unless they're like these ones that are two different colors. That's the point of the stitch, is two different colors. All of them are in that really simple, clean cream color so that you can easily see the difference in the stitches. For instance, the reverse stockinette stitch versus the garter stitch. And they write out how you do it, your multiples, so that you can make whatever you want with this pattern. But this is what you need to use as your base, which is awesome because that's just awesome. Some people will teach you how, you'll do video tutorials and it'll say cast on this many or something, but it doesn't always give you that symmetry. For symmetry, do this type of thing. The other thing was each pattern, pardon me, I had to zoom in there. Each pattern has these wonderful little knitting charts. So you can use, by process of study, pretty much, you can go to any pattern and you can learn how to read charts simply by using this book and reading the instructions, looking at this, and figuring out what this translates, what the graph pattern translates to in words, and then you learn how to read these kinds of monsters, which honestly, this one I did use. I have used this. I've made some washcloths for my mom because she chose this specific pattern, and so then I made it, and I didn't use the graph. I actually used the instructions, which are like a whole stinking page long. There were 28 rows. So that's something else that you can, it tells you this pattern repeats in this many rows. And it's just, I love this book. Like, for instance, the second row and every alternate row repeat, do this over and over on every alternate row. So it doesn't write out every row for you. it tells you like this. I write a check when I finish things, so maybe someday I'll have all this done, but I don't right now. But there's just so many different I learned how to cable with this book on my own. I watched tutorials and I couldn't figure it out. I used this book and watched the tutorial and I figured it out. There's lacy stitches, just all kinds of stitches. Then there's a stitch key here for you to learn how to do the graph, to read the graph too. These are the symbols for it at the end of the book. So here's the key. So if you're trying to learn to read the graphs, all of the different symbols are in here. Just a really amazing book. I love it. I love it. I have used several stitches. Here's some gifts for my mom, for other people. But it is just, I went to the library and I borrowed a bunch of knitting stitch dictionaries, which is what this is. And this was by far the best one. That is actually how I chose this book, is I went to the library, got like 10 or more different stitch dictionaries, ordered them from all the different libraries, had them come to my library, took them, looked through them, looked at the patterns, looked at the way they were set up, and this book is just the best. Other ones, they'll have them in color, the pictures won't be really clear, just all kinds of stuff, but I just love this book. So yeah, that's my first knitting book.